I am Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. I spent 20 years as a licensed minister with three of the largest Protestant organizations, Protestant denominations in the world. I am a Bible college graduate, and I have over 100,000 hours of study in the biblical scriptures. And I'm here today to help you unindoctrinate yourself. I'm here today to present to you evidence that the New Testament and Christianity as we know it is nothing more than a fear and guilt-based control matrix. And in support of that theory, I offer you the following statement, which I will pose as a question and which I would love for you to answer. Why are the books of the New Testament jumbled? Why are the books of the New Testament completely jumbled, not in anything that even remotely resembles the order in which they were written? Ladies and gentlemen, ponder this with me, if you will. Here is something from BibleStudyTools.com. This obviously is not from the Christian Whistleblower. This obviously is from a Bible-believing, Bible-supporting, church-supporting website. And look at this. The following dates are sufficiently reliable to serve the purpose of the Bible student. Look at this order, folks. This is the real order in which these books were published. James, Thessalonians, Galatians, Corinthians, all the way down through the epistles of John, which would include the book of Revelation. Now, I may not 100% be in agreement with this actual list of the chronological order of the New Testament, but I want you to understand something. I want you to notice something. What's the first book in the New Testament? Matthew, you will say. But wait, Matthew is way down here. It's one of the last books of the New Testament. Well, what's the second book of the New Testament? Oh, it's Mark. Oh, Mark is also one of the last books. What's next? Luke. Luke's right in the middle. What's John? John was one of the very last books written. Acts, middle of the pack. Romans, up towards the beginning. Corinthians, newer still. James was the very first book written in the New Testament, around 50 AD. Ladies and gentlemen, they know the order of these books. It's right here, as plain as the nose on your face, as plain as the nose on my face. These books were written in a specific order. These books, the order of which is known to us. So why in the world would you ever put together a compilation of books and completely jumble their order? It makes no sense. Or does it make sense? The only way that it makes sense is if somebody is trying to promote a false agenda, or if somebody is trying to create confusion. Because when you read the New Testament books in their proper chronological order, you understand that the New Testament times were an ideological battle between the forces of the original Yeshua movement, of the forces of the original Christ, his apostles, and those that followed them, and the apostles and followers of Paul. When you read this, you'll see that James wrote condemning Paul. Paul writes back with a few books here, and then Luke writes defending the apostolic position. Then Paul writes some more. Then Mark writes backing the apostolic position, Mark and Matthew. Then Paul writes, then Peter comes in and backs the apostolic position. And then there's a huge gap, 60 years, and John, the apostle that the Christ loved, the one that was closer to the Christ than anybody else, except for maybe arguably Mary Magdalene, He waits 60 years and he writes with a totally unique perspective what is really the last will and testament of the apostolic era. Folks, there's no good reason to intentionally jumble a list of books when you compile them unless you've got an agenda. When it's put together the way it's put together now, it looks like, oh, we talk about Jesus, and then Paul comes in and gives us the real doctrine, and then we throw a little prophecy in. That's a lie. That's a travesty. That's a mockery. The New Testament is a Travis mockery. It's intentionally jumbled to prevent you from understanding the original true message of the New Testament. And I ask you today, as the Christian whistleblower, are you all right with that? Or does that bug you? If it bugs you, you are on the way to unindoctrinate yourself.